So I wanted to show you some techniques for coloring some book pages for either ATCs or for junk journal pages or art journal pages or card projects. This can be used for lots of different ways. And this is really good, especially if somebody maybe has some disability or some limited capacity or movement, because you see that it doesn't really take a lot of physical work or being able to hold your hands still or steady. I imagine somebody maybe with Parkinson's or with a stroke, this would be a really simple technique to get some interesting and effective pages. So you see the colors starting to come through, and I'm just pushing and patting and patting and pushing, and let's see the magic happen. So look how beautiful that is. Just all these bright, happy colors. And this is great also to talk about mirror images if you're doing maybe a study with kids and you want to talk about what mirror image means. So here's an example of that. And what I did is I got my paper really, really wet before I put the paint down, and the paint was really, really wet too, so it was nice and gooey. And what I think I'm going to do is do one that's a drier paint and on not a wet paper, so that you can see the different effects that you can get. These are very watery and washy, and that's because the paper was really wet, but we'll get a really different look if we do it without the wet paper. So let's try that. Okay, so now I have my colors pretty much in the same place that I did them with the wet paper, and the paint isn't quite as wet as it was, and the paper is not wet at all. I didn't do anything to wet the paper, so we're gonna see the different look that we get. And again, you can see that I'm just making very big movements, so this could easily be done with somebody who has limited motor skills or doesn't really work well with fine motor skills. This is great for young people, maybe somebody with some sort of disability. So I'm gonna smear some of these around and see what happens. And again, I put them mostly in the same places that I did the first one. You see that one's very drippy and luscious and blended. So let's see what this one does. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I could do this for days. Okay, so you see, we have that same mirrored image effect, but now the pages aren't moving. The colors didn't blend like that. And this is, either technique depending on what kind of paper you want or how you want your project to look. You can use any technique, and you could go back and you could wet this again and see how the colors move. So there's so many ways that you can play with very limited resources and have a great time.